Hey Jordan, I watched your two-part private series to me. Thank you wholeheartedly for your willingness to answer me when you don't owe me an answer at all. Um, in a lot of ways, it actually encouraged me about where you're at. This is probably attempt 10. I don't know. I keep going too long. The other thing is I'm at work and my phone is ringing. Go figure. Thank God for the business. But I'm trying not to have to do any editing. I'm being lazy. So I just end up starting over. The good thing about that, though, is I've said it a few times. I kind of have my thought stream kind of focused, and hopefully I can just get through this and explain some things to you. This video is probably going to be shared publicly, not because I'm incapable of having a private conversation with you, but because you and many other people, not just the ones I name in video, but many other people, have a roadblock issue. It may be the subject of hell, it may be the subject of slavery, it may be the holy wars that go on in the Old Testament and the carnage that comes from that. It may be this idea or this doctrine of punishment versus reward in the afterlife. You are in good company to be confused about something, be offended by something, be challenged by something, and you've hit this roadblock, and then you react to it. And I don't know how long it took you. I know your journey hasn't been one of those that was just, well, that's hard, I'm going to turn it away. I know you probably smacked up against this roadblock over and over and over again, and you researched and you dove in, and I know you did not come to your conclusions haphazardly, without thought, without research. I respect your journey, even though your conclusions, in my opinion, are error-ridden. It's weird, too, how similar you and I are in our goal to find truth and in what we were willing to sacrifice to get to the truth. And I think you'll see that at the end here, because at the end of this, I'm going to basically read a few notes about what I had to put aside before I even began this journey. And it was that very way of thinking and that very willingness to put myself aside that led me to where I'm at. And you kind of did something similar, so it's one of those deals where it's kind of frustrating that we ended up kind of concluding two different things. You and a couple other people have actually brought my children up recently. I think Huckster recently mentioned my twins. He got it a little bit wrong, though. They're not two girls. It's a boy and a girl. So let me start with my twins, because you guys are bringing them up. I might as well also use them as an illustration that supports my point. God is our Father in heaven. So when I became a father, in many ways it opened up a perspective on God the Father that I'd never previously had. It's one of my favorite parts of my life, and it has in so many ways enlightened me as to how I must challenge my daddy in heaven, and how I must frustrate him, but how much he must love me despite it all. It's just amazing. I can't wait, Jordan, for you to be a dad. I can't wait. But let me give you an example using my son. He has some characteristics that are very similar to me and you. And they're good characteristics ultimately, but they're very challenging to parent. He is one of those children that has to know why a rule exists. He has to know why he has to eat his vegetables, why he can't cross the street, and why he can't have a toy every time we go to the store. He's a leader. If he gets caught following anyone in life, it will be because he agrees with the leadership. He is one that will carve his own path and will probably lead many. Um, he's hard-headed and stubborn. And when he asks you why he can't have a toy every time we go to the store, it's not enough to tell him, son, I'm your daddy, I make the rules, just listen to me. Just submit to my authority and understand that you can't have a toy every time we go. Now, that can be the way in which I choose to explain it to him, but it doesn't mean he likes it, agrees with it, or would willingly abide by it except that he's 4 and knee-high to a grasshopper and ultimately realizes that Daddy can make it happen even if he doesn't like it. There are times, though, Jordan, that he doesn't like it because it just doesn't agree with his will. And he understands how I've explained it to him, but it just doesn't agree with his will and he doesn't like it. There are other times, Jordan, that my 34 years of life experience and understanding what's best for him, even if I explain it in the most concise, simple way with 4-year-old vocabulary where he literally just doesn't understand. Not because he doesn't want to, not because he doesn't want to be a good boy, not because he doesn't love his daddy, but because he just doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. That's to be expected. And I know by giving you this analogy, you don't fault my son for not understanding. You don't fault me for enforcing the rule anyway. Surely you don't. But why can't we have that godly point of view with our Father in heaven? Jordan, you and I are 4-year-olds in the scheme of eternity. And when you hit these roadblocks that you eventually decided to turn away from and go your own way, you're just being a 4-year-old. You're not submitting to your daddy. You, for some reason, decided he doesn't have your best interest at heart anymore. And I'm not better than you, but what I've chosen to do when I don't have an apologetic that explains away a difficult life issue, a difficult doctrine that may be man-made, it may be straight from God. I'm still learning. I'm still a student. I don't have all the answers, even though I have a relationship with God the Father. He hadn't enlightened me to the point where I can say I know it all. When I come to one of these difficult places, I don't stop being his student and his son and submitting to his authority. There are times where I'm just saying, you know what, Dad? It's enough to know that you are wonderful, that you are my daddy, that you have my best intentions in mind and in heart, and I don't doubt that you're going to explain this to me in a way that I understand it someday. But right now isn't the time, apparently. Or maybe this is just part of being a student and you are showing me how to get through a difficult time and you want me to actually experience the not knowing and test my faith a little bit. You see, Jordan, and this is how I'll end things. A long time ago, I did something similar to what you've done. And that's one of the reasons it kills me that you and I ended up on different sides of this fence to a certain degree, because we're very similar in what we're willing to endure in order to find truth.